Hey everyone, this is Riven Blade with a review of AEW Saturday Night Dynamite for June 26th, 2021. So this caps off the run that we've had during the NBA playoffs. We're going back to Wednesday in just 4 days, which is awesome when you think about it. We only have to wait 4 more days before we get Dynamite again. So this was a very strong show, a very strong way to cap off this run for AEW before we go back to Wednesdays and before we hit live crowds in other cities starting in July with those special shows that we got coming up. So we start things off today with a very hot crowd and a backstage segment between Alex Marvez, Sammy Guevara, and Sean Spears, who takes out Guevara before he can really say much. And looks like Guevara's hurt and he's not going to be able to participate in the episode tonight. First match on the show, we got Powerhouse Hobbs, quite happy, taking on Hangman Page. Also quite happy because he gets a massive pop from the crowd. And these guys had a pretty beefy match. The whole story of this, though, was Powerhouse Hobbs focusing on the right arm of Hangman Page, trying to neutralize that buckshot lariat of his. And he was mostly successful in doing this, but I don't know, the storyline in this, it didn't work at times because Hangman was still able to get off some forearms, and he actually got off like a lariat at one point as well. And at one point in the match, we had Team Taz come to ringside. We had Ricky trying to feed the FTW belt to Hobbs right in the ref's face, which didn't really make sense to me because he would have been disqualified and the ref was looking right at him. Anyway, Brian Cage comes to the rescue, takes out Starks, they fight to the back, and this ends up being like just a clean match between Hobbs and Hangman. And Hangman actually ends up winning it with the Deadeye instead of the buckshot lariat. So this was a very strong opening match. I think Hobbs has star power. I think he can be someone who's really special in the future for AEW, and he's a future maybe TNT champion, maybe even world champion, depending on how his promo skills continue to develop. He's got a presence, he's got size, he's got that mean mug that, you know, he just looks like a heel. And he can also be a great babyface, as we saw when he first came into AEW. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how his career unfolds, and really enjoyed this match as an opener for Dynamite tonight. Next up, just a quick truncated version of the Road to special, hyping up Jungle Boy and Kenny, just getting us pumped for the main event tonight. And then we get this hilarious promo from the Young Bucks and Brandon Cutler. Every time Cutler tries interjecting to give more examples of what the Bucks are talking about, they kind of shut him up. So I don't know. It's just he's a lackey for them, essentially. And I love that he's still wearing this face guard and the headphones. And the Bucks go on how, you know, the online haters really don't like them. And they say, guess what? They brag about being the longest reigning tag team champs in AEW. They talk about not only beating people up, but hurting people, taking them out, like SCU, Mox, Pac. So they run down the names, and they are certain of victory because they are the EVPs. They are extremely violent people. So this was a very strong promo, and just these guys, it's really working. I mean, look at that shirt on Matt. Look at that shirt on Nick. These guys are wonderful heels right now, and everything is clicking for them. I don't know if I want to see them lose those belts anytime soon. Got to be honest with you, even though Santana and Ortiz should probably take them off them around All Out or maybe at the New York show. But right now, like, they're doing just top drawer heel work in their promos. Next up, speaking of top drawer promos, we had Tully Blanchard in the ring with Tony Schiavone, and then we get Konnan coming out to the old LAX theme from Impact, which was nice to hear. And these guys just cut, you know what, it's one of the best promos I've heard this year. So Konnan talks about he talks about how FTR said that their upbringing was just as tough as Santana's and Ortiz. He talks about North Carolina. He says, North Carolina, where the men are men and the sheep are scared. He says it's like nothing like growing up in New York City. Even though Tully was a mentor to FTR, Konnan was a father to Proud and Powerful. He tells Tully that he can go be a Walmart greeter. He tells him that he should learn Spanish if he wants to communicate with his grandkids. And eventually he says that he's going to bring out Proud and Powerful, Santana and Ortiz. And these two guys come out in masks. It looks like it's Santana and Ortiz. But then we quickly get, the idea that Tully actually set them up. This is not Santana and Ortiz. In fact, Santana and Ortiz are in the back, laid out under a bunch of weight gear, like weightlifting gear. And the guys in the masks are FTR themselves. And they end up spike pile driving Konnan. This was a really great, strong angle that really put some good heat on FTR and Santana and Ortiz. This match, I can't wait to see what they do next. I like that this kind of felt like a little bit separate from the rest of the Pinnacle and Pinnacle and Inner Circle stuff going on, because this is still Pinnacle and Inner Circle, but it feels like it's on its own island. At least it did for tonight, and I'm totally okay with that. This was tremendous stuff, top drawer, like wrestling angle stuff. So definitely go out of your way to see this. Go out of your way to see this episode, really. But this was a fantastic angle, and I did not expect this from Konnan. Like, he was just spitting fire. So tremendous stuff from everybody involved here. Next up, Dante Martin. He makes his entrance, and just before Matt Sydal can make his entrance, Vicky Guerrero comes out, and she introduces Andrade El Idolo. They're about to make an announcement. As Andrade said, they have a surprise, but they get interrupted by Matt Sydal's entrance, and you know what? Looks like Andrade has his eyes set on Sydal. Look at this disrespect. How dare he? So I guess the first match for Andrade in AEW is probably going to be against Matt Sydal, and I'm all for it. I think those guys can have a very amazing match together. So that's going to be pretty cool. And getting back to this match, so Matt Sydal versus Dante Martin, this is a rematch of their AEW Dark match that they had, I think, on episode 92. And I thought that match was a little bit better, but this was still a lot of fun. Like, Dante Martin, the fact that this kid is only 20 years old, doing what he's doing, he is a special talent. One thing about this match, some beautiful shots, as you can see, of the Jacksonville skyline as the sun is going down. Just gorgeous stuff. And I really wanted to capture just the height, the vertical leap that Dante Martin has is absolutely incredible. When he's doing springboards, off the top rope moves, he had a really nice cutter. Like, I really like the cutter he does. He flips over the guy and cuts him down. I mean, look at this guy. He's just absolutely incredible. Anyway, this still ends up with Matt Sydal getting the win with the lightning spiral, just like he did on Dark. So he's 2-0 against Martin. But Dante Martin, I mean, he is really being given a chance to shine here, separated from, his tag team partner Darius, his brother, while he's injured, and he is making it count. So this guy has like single star written all over him, I think, in a couple of years. The fact that, again, he's only 20 years old, absolutely amazing. This was a very strong match. Good times. If you like their match on Dark, you're going to like this one. And just keep watching the ascent of Dante Martin and say you were there from the very beginning when this guy was having matches against Matt Sydal, and he kind of is the next one. Like, this is kind of the next evolution of the Matt Sydals, the Evan Bournes of 8 to 10 years ago. There he is. And next we have a quick promo segment with Uncle Christian just having a chat with Jungle Boy, who he asks him if he's happy to be there. And of course, Jungle Boy says he's happy. Christian says he should be pissed off because people are saying that they don't believe that he has a chance against Kenny Omega. He says that he shocked the world at Double or Nothing by winning the Casino Battle Royale. And he says, you know what? Shock the world again. So I really like this kind of grizzled Uncle Christian. That's what I'm going to call him from here on out. So Uncle Christian, just, giving some good uncle-y advice to Jungle Boy here. This was good. This was fine. Next up, we have, these guys are like, man, Mark Sterling. So Mark Sterling and Jade Cargill continuing to hype up the Jade brand, talks about a sale that they have at Shop AEW. Says you could pick up a Dark Order shirt, but why would you want to do that? And of course, if you want to get, that 10% discount, which again is not a heck of a lot, but just use that code, THATB. So these guys just, staying on the screen and keeping Jade in our minds as they build her up in the background of the women's division. And I'm assuming she's going to keep getting matches on Dark and Elevation for now as she gets more comfortable in the ring. But again, she looks like a star, so looking forward to more and seeing where she goes over the summer. Next up, promo with MJF. Alex Marvez obviously looking thrilled. MJF says that he sent Malenko to early retirement, and basically this ends up just in a brawl. So Chris Jericho and the Inner Circle come into the interview. They take out everybody. Things spill out onto the stage, and they're in front of the audience. The Pinnacle gets the advantage, and then it looks like Shawn Spears is going to just slam Chris Jericho's arm with a chair before Sammy Guevara, who looked like he was injured, but he's not. He comes back to the ring, fights Spears, who took him out earlier in the show, and grabs the mic after chasing everyone off with a chair. And he says, you know what, you like to say that you're better than everybody, and, you know, we know it, that kind of thing. But on Wednesday, I'm going to show you that I'm the best ever. So I like that this whole program seems to be really putting the spotlight on Sammy Guevara. This whole Pinnacle Inner Circle feud seems to be built around getting this guy in particular over, which is great. Like, this is the next crop of talent. This is going to be, he's going to make a great babyface. The crowd's already behind him. He's got good fire. He's amazing in the ring. I haven't seen him in a while in the ring. So I'm really looking forward to a Sammy Guevara match on Wednesday. Just in 4 more days, we're going to see Sammy Guevara in the ring against MJF. Can you remember the last time you saw Sammy Guevara actually have a singles match? Honestly, I can't. So I'm really looking forward to it. Next up, so Inner Circle standing tall at the end there. Miro talks about, man, this is just God's favorite champion, talking about he thanks God for giving him power and for keeping his wife flexible, and just hyping up the match against Brian Pillman Jr. and just how he's going to take him out, teach him a lesson. This is just tremendous stuff. This is the best work that Miro has done in his career so far, and I don't know who's going to take him out eventually, but right now, just keep setting up guys in front of him and have Miro keep knocking him down and have him just keep making these tremendous promos. God's favorite champion has a really nice ring to it, and it stands out. So yeah, keep it up, Miro. Next up, we had kind of like a big boys slap and meet kind of match with Ethan Page taking on Bear Bronson. Bronson has impressed lately in his singles capacity. There you see Boulder out with him as well today. And these guys just laid into each other in this match. A lot of time spent on the outside. Bronson, he just flew through the ropes, actually took out Scorpio Sky, who sacrificed himself so that All Ego didn't take any damage. And a lot of outside interference, but in the end, these guys got into the ring, and it ended up, I always get freaked out when when Bronson sits on a guy. It looks very, very painful, very heavy, and I just imagine and can hear the oxygen just disappearing from a person's lungs. Anyway, there's a massive superplex from Page on Bronson. As you can see, this fan is freaking out, of course. And there's this section near the end when the ref is distracted by what's going on the outside. Scorpio's on the apron. Bronson's on the second rope. All Ego gives him a shot between the legs. And they did a slow-mo of it, and it looked like it caught him pretty good. So, check out this match and check out the slow-mo of the nut shot from All Ego on Bear Bronson. And this ends up in an Ego's Edge, which was incredibly impressive. Look at Bronson. He is just a massive slab of beef of a man, and All Ego got him up and tossed him over and got the 1, 2, 3. Now, the post-match. All Ego kind of goes into a trance, talks about being the nail in Darby's coffin, says that 3 times, and he challenges Darby to a coffin match, and that's going to be on the Miami show, the same show that we're going to have Cody and QT in that strap match. So we're going to have a couple of gimmick matches on that show. It's going to be pretty interesting. It sounds like it could be a pretty intense episode of Dynamite. So I've never seen a coffin match between two smaller guys like this, like you usually think of like The Undertaker and Yokozuna and those kind of big men in these types of matches. Even in Lucha Underground, you had Mil Muertes was in it. So, you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys do, given their creativity, given their history, given just how on they are right now as characters. I'm psyched for this match, and I really hope that they don't hurt each other too badly, but, continue entertaining us at the same time. Next up, Britt Baker. She doesn't know why Nyla would ask for like a match, or why Vicky would just ask for a tag match as a favor from Tony Khan. And essentially, she just sets up the match that she's going to have with Nyla. And we quickly get a promo with Nyla as well right after this. And they are going to have their match for the AEW Women's Championship on night 2 of Fyter Fest. So I really hope that ends up main eventing that show. And it looks like Chris Statlander is probably going to be the next competitor for the AEW Women's Championship after Nyla. But for now, looking forward to seeing that match. And Vicky, they talk about her being the Cougar, and we're going to see her claws this Wednesday in the tag match with Nyla and Vicky taking on Rebel and Britt. And I'm still hoping it's a swerve. I'm still hoping that Vicky ends up subbing out and someone else comes in, because I don't want to see Vicky in the ring. I don't want to see it, Her against Rebel, I don't know if that's really quality television there. So anyway, looking forward to seeing potentially a surprise on Wednesday. Just crossing my fingers for that. Next, we had the Bunny taking on Chris Statlander, who looks like a star when she comes out. She's just awesome. Anyway, these women had a pretty good match. There were a couple of sloppy moments, but it felt like a real fight. So I enjoyed it overall, and it did the job. Announce team also did the job of getting over that Chris Statlander has been on a roll, that this is her biggest challenge. They put over the Bunny's like veteran experience. I think they mentioned she's been in the business for 16 years now, which was kind of surprising to me. I didn't think it had been that long, but wow. The announce team did a good job of getting over that, Statlander is looking better than ever. She's on a roll, and she's climbing the rankings. The Bunny's a big test for her, and they kind of laid into each other at various points of this match. So they exchanged forearm strikes. Of course, we had some outside interference. At one point near the end of the match, we had the Blade kind of tried to slide in some brass knuckles for the Bunny, and Orange Cassidy ends up taking them and sliding them in his pocket. And that ends up giving Chris Statlander the advantage as she hits the Big Bang Theory on the Bunny for the 1, 2, the 3. In the post-match, TH2 comes in, and they all beat down on Orange Cassidy, and he gets the brass knucks in the face in the end. They stand tall. So I'm wondering if maybe there's going to be a trios match between TH2 and the Blade against Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends, although Trent just had neck surgery, so who knows if he's going to come back right away. Anyway, at least there was a post-match angle, but I don't know. I kind of wish there was more involving the women here. They were kind of put to the side. There was a little bit of potential injury at the end. Like Statlander took a bump when the Blade kind of knocked over her and Cassidy, and she fell to the outside of the ring, kind of hit her neck on the bottom rope. And there was also some concern about the Bunny. She was talking to Doc Samson at one point, although apparently she's doing okay. So happy that everyone is healthy and seems to be doing all right, because I want to see Statlander continuing to climb the ranks. What I want to see more of from her, though, is some promo work. So again, they're not really talking about her being an alien so much anymore. They're still doing the boop thing. I mean, that's her thing. But I want to see her talk towards the camera in the build-up to her match against Britt, which I definitely see happening sometime in the late summer. So that's going to be interesting after Britt and Nyla do their thing. Next up, QT just kind of hypes up his match against Cody and talks about how, Brock Anderson was named the AEW Wrestler of the Week. What about me when I beat Cody in the middle of the ring? So he talks about the nepotism thing again. And yeah, I mean, kind of just building up more heat for this trap match, which I'm assuming is going to be a pretty good match regardless. So again, I'm still not super high on this factory storyline, but should be a fun match. Next, just hyping up what's up on Wednesday. And again, Dynamite in 4 days. So Britt Baker and Rebel versus Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero. Hopefully that is just, not actually Vicky Guerrero. Of course, we get Miro taking on Brian Pillman Jr. And as they talk about that, Pillman Jr. cuts a promo about, Miro calling himself God's favorite champion, says he has a Messiah complex. And he says, what kind of man are you? And he talks about, I'm the kind of man that fights for my friends. And you know what? Pillman Jr. is just a really good white meat babyface right now. I'm kind of into him. And I think and I hope that him and Miro have a really strong match on Wednesday. I really feel this could be a nice coming out party for Pillman Jr. in the ring. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does against Miro. Next up, we also got MJF and Sammy Guevara. Like I said, that should be a tremendous match if these guys do what they are both capable of doing. And of course, we have the Young Bucks taking on Penta El Zero Miedo and Eddie Kingston. Then after that, we got a quick promo for Rampage, looking good. And we got these guys. So this picture, this just looks like, Kingston and Abrahantes look like two guys that are waiting outside the club and their friend just showed up late from Comic-Con. Anyway, I love how these guys look together. So, Eddie just kind of laughs at the Young Bucks talking about how they've taken people out. Eddie kind of insinuates that he's murdered people and that he's going to murder the Young Bucks in a way, like he will take them out for real next week or on Wednesday. And really, he's going to hurt them by bruising their egos by taking the titles on Wednesday. So just a standard Eddie Kingston promo where he kind of talks about killing a guy, maybe? I think that's what he's talking about. All right, main event time. So really like this camera shot for Jungle Boy coming out. They do a wide angle with all the crowd singing his song. Everyone's pretty hot for the music. Everyone's hot for Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy looks really focused. Just his family is even there. And then Kenny comes out with the belts, just draped in gold, looking fantastic. And there's Jungle Boy's family. His mom's in the middle over there. And there's a big match feel to this match. I really enjoyed this main event. I was hoping this would be kind of like, is this the best match in Dynamite history kind of match? And I'd still say it's probably in the top 20 of all-time Dynamite matches because it was really strong. I never really bit that Jungle Boy was going to win the title. I didn't think he was going to anyway, but even there were a couple of moments in this match where Jungle Boy got on the snare trap a couple of times. I didn't buy for a second that Kenny was going to tap out. You can't buy that. Anyway, the match starts with everybody on ringside getting kicked out. So the Good Brothers are kicked out. Margot Stunt is kicked out along with Luchasaurus. So it looks like we're going to have just a one-on-one singles match between Kenny and Jungle Boy, two wrestlers who are really just at the top of their game, just going at it. Kenny is obviously disappointed that the Good Brothers cannot be there. So this thing kind of goes as you'd expect. They kind of feel each other out in the beginning. There's some nice reversals. There's a lot of time spent outside, actually. There's some really nice top rope moves and some really cool camera angles, actually, during this match. I really like the production during most of this match, actually. And these guys just went at it back and forth and kicks and suplexes and Tiger Driver 98s and Dragon suplexes. Just everything you would come to expect from Kenny Omega and Jungle Boy. They both delivered. There were no botches that I could see, and I was really into it, into the emotion of the match, into the intensity of the match. Kenny hitting his V-triggers. At one point, Jungle Boy reversed the One-Winged Angel by doing a reverse, like a Poison Rana. Kenny hit, a powerbomb, and he still couldn't put away Jungle Boy, so he kicked out numerous times out of big moves. There's that first snare trap that Jungle Boy cinched in. Kenny got to the rope eventually. And then you had the Good Brothers try to come out. And then Luchasaurus, Marco Stunt, and Kazarian, the Elite Hunter, came out to make sure that they wouldn't interfere in the match. So nice way to get Kazarian into the, just on our television screens and just remind us of his role as he's trying to just keep the Elite from interfering in too many matches. And yeah, these guys just went at it really hard. The final 5-minute stretch was really exciting, really intense, as you would expect. But eventually, Kenny knocks Jungle Boy off the top rope. and he gives him a V-trigger. Eventually he hits, there it is. I think that was the Tiger Driver 98, but Jungle Boy kicked out of that. But Kenny followed that up with the One-Winged Angel for the 1, the 2, and the 3. And there's Jungle Mom, she is in shambles. She's in distress. I'm going to remember that picture because they're going to show that one day when Jungle Boy actually wins the title, and it's going to be a pretty cool callback to see that picture contrasted with the one that happens that night whenever Jungle Boy wins the TNT title, or maybe even the AEW championship. The ANW championship is something totally different, but all right. So, yeah, these guys went to war. It was a really fun main event, really strong. This felt like a special show. Like it was just a really strong, wrestling-heavy show with some just thick matches and some high-flying, some really strong promo work. You had the stuff going on with Konnan and Tully, which was really strong. Like, overall, I can't really complain much about this Dynamite, except maybe for all this post-match stuff. So, Kenny looks like he's going to hit Jungle Boy with the belt. Christian comes in, and then you had the Hardy Family Office come in, and then the Young Bucks come in, and it's just a lot of streams crossing, a lot of things just coming in at once. And it looks like Christian is probably going to be primed for a title shot somewhere down the line, maybe this summer against Kenny Omega. I don't know. I'm not too wild about him maybe, headlining a pay-per-view, but I'd be perfectly okay with Christian versus Kenny Omega at a special edition of Dynamite or something like that. Anyway, Kenny and the heels stand tall. Strong episode of Dynamite. I really liked this, and I'm really excited to see what they do on Wednesday. Definitely check this episode out. You won't be disappointed if you just like quality wrestling, quality promos, and just AEW being AEW. So if you're a fan of this stuff already, you know that this is good stuff. And if you're not, you're probably not listening to me anyway, so that's okay. That's fine. And if you are listening to me, and if you dig this, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications. Until next time, hope you guys are doing well. Take it easy. Take care.